Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the FCS Football channel, and today we are doing a squad review or play review for the Manchester United squad for this season, of course being the 2021 season. So today we are going to do this in a tier list fashion, the tiers being of course star player, good season, average, poor, and sell him now. Now, of course, these are based on my opinions and my opinions only. Feel free to let me know your opinions down below and how you would rank these players. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. These players will be done in alphabetical order and will be done purely, like I said, on my opinion. So do not get offended. Let's get into it. So the first player we have is Amad Diallo. And I'm going to put Amad Diallo straight into average. Now, why am I putting Amad into average? I think when he has played, he looked alright, but simply not enough game time. He only joined in January. I think, look, he's had a successful start to his Manchester United career, especially given the limited time he has been given on the pitch. He's got some crucial goals. Of course, the AC Milan goal comes to mind. Like I said, I think he's done well when he has played. Simply hasn't played enough, but I think he does look good. And look, give him more time. And if he continues up his performance levels, he could quite easily become a star, or at least a very good player in the years to come. Alright, next up we have Bruno Fernandes. Now, I don't think there's any doubt where Bruno Fernandes is going to be put in this list. He is going straight into star player. Top goal scorer, top assister, and the difference he makes in this squad is unbelievable. The team is clearly built around Bruno Fernandes, and God knows where this team would be without him. Some of his goals, and important goals, yes, he scored a lot of penalties. And of course, other fans will not let us forget about all the penalties he scored. But penalties aren't easy to score, are they? And he scored them. He's been so important to us. There's no doubt he has probably been our star player this season. And of course, he did win the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award. So of course, he's going to make it into star players. You don't score the amount of goals and get the amount of assists as he did without being one of your star players. So he is going in to star player for me. So next up is Edinson Cavani, and I think this one could cause a bit of controversy. I'm going to put him in very good season. I think a lot of people will probably put him into star player. However, that's recency biasy. Let's not forget, start of the season, he wasn't great, was he? He was not getting any service like Martial and Greenwood have all season long. He wasn't scoring that many goals. Yes, he was popping up with goals in here and there, but he wasn't the prolific goal scorer we all thought. There was a moment in time where people were happy for him to leave and wanted him to go to Boca Juniors, like the rumours were suggesting. After a while, when we put Pogba to the left, to be precise, he started scoring goals, and that's where this idea here, he was being some amazing signing of the season contender. He's not been that for me. He's been a very good season. He's had a very good season. More to come from Cavani for me. I'm very happy with him. I think he had a good season, like I said. Not star player material, but a very good season for Edinson Cavani. So he makes very good season. So then David De Gea, I think I'm actually going to put him in the exact same bracket as Edinson Cavani, to be honest. I think he has had a good season. Kept us in the Europa League and made us to the final. Without De Gea, we wouldn't have played Villarreal in the final. Yes, he lost us it, missing the penalty. We've gone over this before. If your defenders do their job right, alongside the strikers and midfield, a goalkeeper should never have to face a penalty shootout. Yes, he missed the penalty. You don't expect your goalkeeper to be great at penalties, do you? I think he had a good season. I can't think of any mistakes he really made. Maybe you could say the Everton one. I think that's being harsh. He's not had a bad season. He's had a very, very good season. It's a step closer to getting back to his best just in time for the Euros for Spain. He's had a very good season in my eyes, so he's going in. Good season. Next up is Anthony Elanga. It's a simple one. Average season. Hasn't played much or at all, really. I think he's played about 2 games. I think he's looked good in the 2 games he's played, being Leicester and Wolves, but simply not enough game time to really give him anything above an average, so he gets an average. Next up is Eric Bailly. Very similar to Elanga. He played more minutes. I think he's looked, at the start of the season, when he started breaking in, he looked good. At the end of the season, I think he looked crap. I think he was really bad. And I think that pretty much sums up where he's going to be. He's going to be an average. Hasn't played much. When he has played, he's either looked incredible or dreadful. Average season for Eric Bailly. Again, he hasn't played much, so I don't expect him to be very high because he simply hasn't had enough game time to get match fit, get into the rhythm of things. And for me, that is why he can only be an average. So Bailly is going into average. So next up is Fish. Again, he's played about 20 minutes. He's been in a couple squads for the Europa League final and the other European games. He's only played like 10 minutes. He's getting an average, isn't he? Next up is Fred. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. He's either going to be in good season or average. I don't think he's had a bad season. I think the combination and partnership of Fred and McTominay don't complement either of them. I think it stops us conceding, but it doesn't get the best out of Fred, doesn't get the best out of McTominay, and it limits both of them. And I think that's been part of the problem for Fred this season. For me, I think I would be happy with Fred if he was able to play alongside a Pogba more often. Because when they have played together, I think he's looked good. I think what Fred offers is very good. I think he's had a decent season without being absolutely spectacular. Wasn't as good as he was last season, especially at the end of last season. So I'm going to put him in an average season. And I think I'm going to put McTominay in the bracket below in a poor season. Now, of course, McTominay could be put up one. I just think McTominay, there's too many games where I've gone into it wanting to see him play well and praise him, and he just hasn't turned up. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets the best out of him playing him alongside Fred. McTominay wants to get forward, wants to break forward, wants to have shots at the edge of the box. Playing him in the double pivot with Fred, McFred as they've been coined, doesn't allow McTominay to do that. And I think that limits him, and that has caused him to have a slightly worse season than he would have otherwise had if he was able to play in that Pogba role, able to get forward a lot more and actually get to the edge of the box, have shots. And for me, that is what's going to drop him down from an average season to a poor season. But it's very close. I mean, like I said, McTominay could quite easily just about scrape average, but I'm going to have to put him in poor. Mason Greenwood, rocky starts this season. He had a hard season, being dropped from England, having one of his best mates die and unfortunately take his own life. And look, it's his second year as a Manchester United proper first team player. It's never, ever going to be easy for him. And I think at the start of the season, we saw that kind of hit him a little bit, alongside, of course, the problems that we mentioned with Cavani and we mentioned with Martial, with our strikers just simply not getting chances. And I think when Pogba was moved to the left-hand side and when Cavani started scoring goals, we saw Greenwood also hit form. And for me, I'm going to put him in good season because of his age, because of the hardships he's had to face. Maybe, look, when he gets a few more years down the line, a season like this would be an average season. But because of his age, because of what he's had to go through at such a young age as well, I think it's a good season for Mason Greenwood. And it's more progress. I think at the end of the season, we start to see a more mature Mason Greenwood. So I'm going to put him at a good season. Again, simple for Hannibal. We've seen him play for about 20 minutes. Simply not enough game time. I think he had a good season for the under-23s, but we're not judging that. He's going into average. Now, controversial one, Dean Henderson. Where am I putting him? I'm putting him in bang average. Now, I think in the Europa League, he's looked good. I think in cup competitions, he's also looked alright. However, I don't think he's really been troubled or challenged. When he has been, I think he's looked a bit shaky. I remember against Manchester City, people said he was an amazing game, and he had a pretty decent game. But there was a few shots where he spilled, and look, I said one day that will come back to haunt him, and it did against Liverpool. He was shocking against Liverpool, was shocking against Sheffield United, gave away a goal. AC Milan, he was poor goalkeeping for their equaliser at Old Trafford. I think he's given away too many goals to put him in a good season, average season. He's a good goalkeeper. Look, there's massive amounts of pressure being the Manchester United number one. It's something he's had to experience. He's done it without a fans in the ground, which is good, I suppose, in the sense that, look, coming into Manchester United and being your first season as number one is always going to bring pressure. Not having fans there takes a little bit of that pressure away. And hopefully next season, if he is going to be our number one, we can see an even better Dean Henderson. And that can only be good for Manchester United and himself. Next up is going to be Daniel James. I'm going to put him in a poor season. Unfortunately for Dan James, I just don't think he is Manchester United quality. I think sometimes his decision making is quite poor. I don't think technically he's amazing. And I think, look, we saw with Amad Diallo, I think Diallo's a better player than him already. I think Diallo, he does this. He is a proper winger like Dan James. They both want to get down the line. They want to create chances. But Diallo is just a smarter player, a more technical player. And look, Dan James just isn't Manchester United quality for me. I think what he does and what he brings is very important. He's just not at the required level for me. I think, like I said, Dan James is a proper winger, and that's what we need. And in that sense, he's had a decent season. But technically, he's not good enough. I think he doesn't score enough. Assist-wise, I don't think he's amazing. We need a player like him, but just better. And look, if he was that, brilliant. But unfortunately, we haven't seen that really or enough this season. So he's going to go for a poor season. And that's exactly where I'm going to put Victor Lindelof as well. I think he's looked brilliant at times, but looked shambolic at times. I think this partnership between Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof doesn't work. I think it limits both of them. I think we've seen Lindelof far too often be poor defensively, too weak. And I think, look, we saw that against Villarreal in the final. What's he doing for the goal? Look, we know he's aerially, he's not great. Alongside Tuanzebe, he looks fairly comfortable and looks good. But look, too often he's bullied off the ball. Too often he doesn't win his headers. Too often he allows for sloppy goals. And like I said, his partnership with Harry Maguire isn't good enough. And with all them partners together, you cannot say he's had a decent season. For me, he has to be poor. Next up is Harry Maguire, and I'm actually going to put him in average season. I think Harry Maguire could quite easily be pushed up, to be honest, and maybe I will later on when I'll do a little revision at the end. But with Harry Maguire, I think it's somewhat similar with Lindelof. Sometimes he's been absolutely fantastic. Sometimes he's been very, very poor. Again, that partnership of Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire simply doesn't work and doesn't benefit either party. And I think that does limit both players as well. Harry Maguire, look, he's a fantastic centre-back at his best. Too often than not, we don't see that. I think at the second half of the season, he has looked a lot better. But I think that first half was shocking. I remember the Spurs game, he was absolutely dreadful. Abysmal even. Probably the worst centre-back performance I've seen from a centre-back all year. And look, again, maybe he goes up, but I'm going to put him average for now. And look, this one's going to hurt me. Anthony Martial, I'm going to put him in a poor season. I think he's had a better season than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got a fairly decent goals and assist ratio, very similar to Edinson Cavani's, actually. And yet they both players get completely different thoughts and reviews this season. Cavani seen as this signing of the season, while Martial is seen as this awful player. Martial is still a very good player. Not at his greatest season, yes, but he's a very good player. And like we said about Cavani at the start of the season, he didn't have service. Martial, he's ran the graveyard shift. He's done a thankless task all season long. And so is Cavani, so is Greenwood. At the end of the season, they stopped. They started getting service from Pogba when he was on the left wing. Martial never got that. And I think if we did see that, Martial would have got more goals. Look, no question Martial should have got more goals anyway. He did miss a few good chances. But what I will say is, I think Martial is very unlucky with the type of team performances we were putting in along with him in the team. I think he is a very good player. Like I said, a lot of times, his hold-up play has been fantastic this season. I think against Villarreal with Anthony Martial, we would have been better and we probably would have won that game. But look, he's not been at his greatest season. If anything, look, he has to be poor at very minimum. Maybe sell him if that will be some people's opinions. I think he's had a poor season. I think next season he has to get back to his best, and I think he probably will if we get the right players around him and get service for our number 9. So Martial's going to go in poor season. Next up is Juan Mata. I think this is a fairly easy one. I'm going to put him and sell him now. I think at times when we've seen him, he's looked alright. I think Newcastle, he played very well when we brought Van der Beek on. Against Wolves, he looked fantastic. Same against Leicester. Simply too old now. Simply hasn't played anywhere near enough football. When he has, he's looked, like I said, he's looked alright. Some games he's looked really bad. I don't think he's favoured anymore. I think he's getting old. I think this is probably the right time to move him on. Go back to somewhere like Valencia. Go back to Spain. Have a great end to your career there, like we've seen with David Silva. And look, I think that's the right thing to do for Juan Mata. So I'm going to have him as sell him now. And Nemanja Matic, I'm going to put him in sell me now as well. When it comes to Nemanja Matic, I think, again, similar to Mata, when he has played, I think he's looked okay. I think at the back end of the season he looked very good. Again, simply doesn't play enough. He's getting on. I do think we will sign a defensive midfielder this summer. So I don't see where Nemanja Matic fits in that team. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has shown he likes Fred, likes McTominay over Nemanja Matic. Maybe Matic stays and is a guide to someone like a James Garner next summer. I don't see it happening though. So I would sell Nemanja Matic. Like I said, I don't think he's had a terrible season. Doesn't play enough. He's getting on. Probably the time to sell him. So I'm going to put him in sell me now. Now Paul Pogba is going to go, of course, into good season. I think, especially when he's put on the left wing, he's looked fantastic. Has been crucial for us. Obviously got the winning goal against AC Milan in the Europa League. Very good season. Top player. And we've seen the difference with a Paul Pogba and without a Paul Pogba. I think Paul Pogba has to stay. And look, we want him to stay. If we sell him, we have to sell him for big and we have to replace him. Paul Pogba is a crucial player for us. Whether he plays in the midfield, whether he plays off the left, whether he plays off the right, he's had a very good season. So next up we have Marcus Rashford. Obviously got a lot of goals, lot of assists. But where am I going to put him? I'm going to put him in good season. Now this might be slightly controversial considering how many goals and assists he's got. A lot of people will put him in star player. But I think this list isn't just about how many goals and how many assists you got. It's about performance levels. And I think Marcus Rashford, whilst somewhat it's not all his own fault, of course he has clearly been playing with injuries. He hasn't been very good at all in a lot of games. Too often he's been shocking. But just because he pops up with a goal or something like that, then performances go under the radar. Too often, far too often, he's not been good enough. And that is why I'm going to have to only put him in star player. If them numbers were partnered with terrific performances, maybe he would, well, he definitely would be in star player. But too often we've seen games like the Wolves game where he was absolutely abysmal. But because he scored the late goal, he's some amazing player all of a sudden. He's in a fantastic game. No, he was really poor and just got a lucky goal. As will come if he keep trying to do something. I think too often we see Marcus Rashford try and beat 8 players instead of trying to play the easy ball. Try and create a chance. Try and score a goal. I think he is at times far too selfish. And for me, that does drop him only into a star player. But look, he's had a good season, hasn't he? Look, I think he needs a rest. I can see he will go to the Euros, obviously. But if I was Rashford, you must think, is it worth going to the Euros? Am I going to be a first team player? Is it worth potentially risking 2 or 3 years of my career by constantly playing with injuries? Or should I have the summer off, recover and be back to my best? Because there's plenty more European Championships and plenty more World Cups he will go to. Because he is clearly, when he's at his best, a very, very dangerous and good player. And he is a match winner. So next up is Luke Shaw. And of course he is going to go into star player. What a season Luke Shaw's had. Won the Players' Player of the Year. So many assists, so many goals. He's absolutely turned his career on its head. Back in the England squad. Should be the starter. Has arguably been the best left back in the world this season. Needs to be starting for England. Has been absolutely world class. And Alex Telles deserves a lot of credit for getting the best out of Luke Shaw. And that competition that Alex Telles has brought has only done positive things for Luke Shaw. He's been fantastic, created so many chances. I believe he's created the most chances as a defender this season. I think he's up there with Lionel Messi for chances created in 2021. Huge credit for Luke Shaw. He completely, like I said, turned his career on its head. Fantastic from Luke Shaw. Like I can't say enough. Huge credit where it's due to Luke Shaw. He's been fantastic all season. Deservedly takes his place as a star player this season. Next up is Shola Shotai. He can only go an average, as has been the case with Ahmad, Fish, Elanga and Hannibal. Hasn't played enough. He's looked alright. He's not looked amazing, not looked terrible. He's very young. And look, with the fact he's making his debut this young says all you need to know. He's a top talent for the future. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Again, for the youth teams, he's done quite well. But we're, of course, only judging this on his senior career. And he's had he played decently when he's played. He's played like one game. It's not enough. He goes into average. Next up is Alex Telles. And I'm actually going to have to put him in poor season. Similar to players like Ahmad, Elanga and the young players. Hasn't played loads. Hasn't played nearly enough. But when he has played, I do think he's been very poor at times. That Roma game sticks to my head. He looked alright against PSG. I believe that was his debut. Too often or not, I think we've seen Telles come off for Luke Shaw and that left-hand side get massively better. Not just defensively, but going forward as well. And I think that sums up Telles this season. I think in a way, he's been unlucky. When you're a new signing, you need some game time. You need a fairly good run in the team. And he's never got that. I mean, you look at players like Fred. He needed a run in the team to really get going. Telles hasn't got that. And I think that is partly to blame to why he struggled a little bit. I wouldn't be concerned about Alex Telles. But I don't think you can say he's had a decent season. I think he's had a fairly poor season. But look, as he gets more game time, as he gets more minutes on the pitch, he will get better. And look, he could be an average, but I'm just going to put him in poor. Tuanzebe, I'm going to put in an average. I think at times he's looked absolutely outrageously good. You think back to the PSG game, he absolutely back-pocketed Mbappe. How many centre-backs in the world can say they could do that or have done that? Let alone considering that was his first game back from injury for about a year. So long out, comes back and does that alongside Victor Lindelof. I think that partnership of Lindelof and Tuanzebe looks fantastic and could be a potential future back to if Harry Maguire is sold on, which I don't think he will ever be. I think Tuanzebe has shown glimpses of brilliance. I think times he has been poor. I think lack of game time as well is partly to blame. So he has cost us goals at times. A poor foul given away against Everton, which we conceded from. Of course, he scored an own goal. Poor defending really against Leicester, where I believe he also scored an own goal. So at times not good enough, or silly mistakes costing him. But I think overall he's had an average season. Give him more time, he will only be better. And that could see him become a star player, or at least a first team regular for years to come. Next up is Donny van der Beek. Simply not enough time. When he has played, I think he's looked very good. Look, it's hard to come into a team and never play. I think he has done fairly well. I think that 10 role isn't the role for him in this Manchester United team. That 10 role has to be completely different to what Donny van der Beek does in a 10. I think he's much more suited to a role in the double pivot alongside a proper defensive midfielder like a Matic. When we've seen them two together of Matic and Van der Beek, I think they've played fairly well. I want to see more Van der Beek. We keep saying we want to see more Van der Beek. Let's see it, Ollie. Let's see it. I'm going to put him as an average season. And the next up is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Of course, he's going to be put into a good season. Played pretty much every single game this season. And he's had a fantastic season. A lot of goals, a lot of assists. Very, very good season. I'm not sure how he's not going to the Euros. He's been brilliant, hasn't he, Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Big credit to him to massively improve his game going forward. And like I said, I cannot believe he's not going to Euros. First team regular every single week. And he's kept out Brandon Williams, who hasn't seen the light of day all season. Brilliant from Wan-Bissaka. There's a reason why he's had to play every single game. And he's done so at a very high level. Wan-Bissaka goes into good season. And the final player is the man I just mentioned, Brandon Williams. And I can only put him in poor. Now, we haven't seen him. I think the fact he's young is keeping him out of selling now. Although I think I probably would sell him on another day with Diogo Dalot coming back. Maybe you keep hold of Dalot and you sell Williams, or vice versa. I don't think you can keep hold of both. Brandon Williams, I don't think he's looked amazing when he's played. There's been brief spells here and there where he looked okay. I don't think he's kicked on. I think he's regressed from what he was last season when he was at a point starting as our first choice left back. He's not had an amazing season, so he's going in poor. The only saving grace for me for Brandon Williams is that he hasn't played enough. And again, like I've said about Telles, like I've said about Van der Beek, Ahmad, the more we see of them, that's when we can really start making a proper opinion on these players. Because if you haven't played, how can you really have a solid opinion on someone? How can someone be amazing or terrible if they've never really played? I believe Williams has played 7 games worth of minutes. Simply not enough. Of course, I don't know how many of them are actual starts. He simply hasn't played. So I can only put him in poor. And then finally, where does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rank? I'm going to put in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a poor season. I think, yes, we've got second, but we wanted a trophy. I think second place is a bit of a false position. You look how terrible Liverpool were. We only finished 5 points above them. I don't think we've played amazing football enough this season. I think we are flattered to deceive. At points we've looked great, yes. At points we've looked absolutely abysmal. Too often we come into a second half needing goals. We go into the second half a goal down already, and that's simply not good enough for a team like Manchester United. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has showed glimpses of perfection and brilliant. You look at that RB Leipzig game when he smashed them 5-0. We were brilliant that game. PSG in the first time we played them as well. But then too often we've seen the complete opposite of that. I mean, both of them games in the second leg, awful, conceding early goals. And look, you look at the semi-finals, again, another semi-final defeat to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, losing the quarter-final against Leicester, not really putting any sort of a fight up. That Europa League final was absolutely abysmal. No subs until the 100th minute. Keeping players like Marcus Rashford on. Playing Marcus Rashford all season long despite his injury. Harry Maguire and Lindelof keep on playing despite the partnership clearly not working. And Lindelof, playing all season with a back injury. I think these things have to go against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think the only thing really going for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season is the fact we did come 7th. Despite, like I said, it being, in my opinion, a slightly false position. But look, let me know your opinions on my tier list and what your tier list would look like. If you did enjoy, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you all in the next one in a bit. Peace.